Okay, so I just put together Odokuro, who's lurking over here, watching us from the distance now. Yeah, we just put together Odokuro. We're now going to do the next one from the Wave 3 Fortress, which is the Oni Warlord. The Oni Warlord has more parts. It has 28 plus the not so specifically designed base over here. But they are generally small. The Oni Warlord appears to be made of a lot more smaller parts, which is going to lead to some interesting fun and games later on. Much like I said with Onokuro, with the 3 sort of fingers that are interchangeable, the Oni Warlord has 5 bits to be careful about. They are the 5 hands that come out of that slave box cage thing it has. Make sure you cut them out in the right order and you've got them laid out correctly here. Again, I've got the instructions over here, the assembly guide, and I'm actually going to follow this one much more true than I did Odokuro, because I don't think, from my sort of mock run through, I don't think there's any sort of the difficulties of placement of arms and limbs and trying to bend them and get it right. So first bits first, you do all the big bits first, generally. So we're going to put in these 2 halves of the legs. Again, there's like these circle tabs go into these circle holes. They'll just fit together like that. Oops, he says. There we go. No fitting. Anyway, there we go. They're going to do like that, and that'll be our base legs. So let's just glue them. I'm hoping my glue is going to last out this model. It'd be rather embarrassing to get halfway through it and run out. There we go, so with a snap they come together, and there is our Oni's legs put together. We then come to do the sort of torso, which is 2 parts again, similar to narrow sort of tubes that fit into the 2 larger tubes. I can tab into a slot, they're going to go together like that, and that will be our Oni's torso. I'll say you can tell this fellow, the Warlord, is about twice the size of the other Oni that you got in the basic Forbidden Fortress. Go. That's together. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to put the face. There we go, face, little grinning, well, screaming Oni face. It's got the narrow sort of tab into the slot there at the top of the torso. It'll go in, and you'll have your Oni like that, screaming at you. Okay, nice and easy, put that one on. So, and then somewhat predictably we're going to put that one in there on top of the legs, so the legs go in, and then we go, and then that's going to sit like that. There is, I've got to try and get it out again now, square tab formed by the 2 leg halves, goes into the square hole, you can see it in there. You might have to wiggle it about to get it in because it's got a slot, get in between these sort of dangling fur bits, which I find is not always easy to get it in. There we go. So I'm just going to hold that there for a while, in position in there. Again, it's a good job we're using plastic cement because it actually, to get it in, the torso separated slightly, so I had to keep pushing it back together as we got those legs in. But yeah, they're in there now. So we do a little bit of accessorising now. Oh no, actually no, I think that's still a bit loose. Let's do feet. Let's do feet then. So yeah, we're going to put 2 feet on. Again, this is the bit where I get a bit nervous because you might end up, if you get this wrong, with your feet not being absolutely flat to the base when we come to put them on the base. But it's not as bad, I feel, as Odakuro, because for these, if you're off by a bit, well, the plastic cement will just fill in the gaps onto the base, so it's not too bad. Here we go. Oops, put the foot on. Again, the foot's got an indent. I should have shown you really. The foot's got an indent and there's tabs. Show you up there. There's tabs on the bottom of the feet, so bottom of the leg, so the foot just has the indent. There, that just goes plop in there. So I'll just do the other one now. Put the foot on. There you go, that's our top right piece is already done. I mean, we've got a sort of basics of an Oni starting to form there. Right, next up, as I say, some accessories. So he has this sort of juggy thing, which is actually the last numbered piece, number 28, which goes on the tied to his leg somehow in there. So we need to glue that to his leg. There's a tab coming out of the bottle. See, I can show you. There's a tab coming out of the bottle there. Can you see? There's a hole there in the leg. It goes in. Okay. Next we've got this sort of tattered bit of clothing here. Again, it's got a tab. I'm going to use that tab on the belt sort of sash thing. There's a hole there which is going to go in. So when it does, there you go. It'll look like that, where it's just sort of coming here, blowing in the opposite direction where it occurred. Right, so there we go. Right, now onto arms. Arms next. So I'm going to try and do the right hand arm, which is carrying this big sort of club first. This is where basically what you see is you've got a circular hole there in the sort of armpit, and a circular tab in the first section of arm. So that's going to go in there like that. That's going to be that arm joint, if you can see it. So that's what we're going to do next. I'm going to put it in, I'm just going to hold it a moment. It's one of those ones where you can't just rely on its natural placement and gravity to keep it in place, so just going to hold it a moment like the glue do its work. There we go, we can let go. Whilst that's setting, I'll flip over to the other side, similar arrangement, another hole in the armpit and another circle. Oh, there we go, circle tab on the arm. So that's going to go in like that. So it's pointing upwards because it's going to be having that sort of slave cage suspended up with its arm. Okay. Might need a bit more glue on that one. Okay, that's better. That's better. Right, so just hold that a moment, let it set into place. And then we'll put this club. And there's a notch. You can see there's a notch, but it's all the way on one side of the wrist. And equally there's a notch here on the arm, but it's all the way on one side. So that helps you align it so you can get the club basically pointing in the right direction, which should be sort of, there you go, should be coming down across his right knee. There we go, so you can see it down across his right knee like that. we go. So I'm just going to hold it there for a moment. Right up for you. There you go. Looking at. So then we're now into the hand. Comes on here, the left hand, which is going to be supporting that sort of cage thing. And then, also, I should say, this is a, look in there, it's sort of a trapezium size indentation in there, and then to trapezium sort of hole on the top tab on the wrist. And that, again, that makes, so when you put it on, it only really sort of slides and fits with minimal resistance in one sort of orientation, which is pretty much holding the cage straight up. And that's one of the things you can do, as I'm just doing now, is you can look to ensure, as you look, if I can get the angle right, if you look, the hand is at the same level as the shoulder, because the cage rests on both of them. So as long as they're level with each other, just checking, there we go, as long as they're level with each other, should be good enough. Right, speaking of cage, that is what comes next, and I get the feeling this is going to be very fiddly. This is now done for the moment. We can leave him off to one side. So there we go, he's going to stand up just about. So the cage, yeah, half of the pieces are just this cage. So what you've got is you've got a base here, you've then got 5 wall sections, because it's a 5-sided pentagon sort of arrangement, and then you've got arms sticking out each side, and you've got some chains, and then you put the top on, and then you put a little cap on the top of that. So fiddly, because you've also got to get these 5 walls. I'll just get number 1 and number 2. They've got these chamfered. So we try and get. Can you see chamfered cross sections? So that's one. That's the other. This one's got a slight lip on it, so what you do is you put them together like that, at that angle, whatever the angle is for a pentagon, don't know, slightly overlapping one lip, and you've got to hold them like that as you glue them. And I don't want to disparage the frogs too much, but the angle that these are done, these are not 45 degrees, near enough. 45 degrees are not the right degrees for a pentagon, so they're not going to be flat, they're going to be at a slight angle to each other. So that's going to make life fun and interesting. So also if you look at the base, obviously the hand comes in here. You can see the hands at this side, so you've got to orientate it right. So you got to, it does, however, very very kindly. If you look, if you look inside, show. I don't know if we're going to get the light on it, but there's numbers, and those are the numbers that correspond to the wall pieces. So that does help. But yeah, this is going to be fiddly. And I'll actually read you, because it's actually got text on this. I mean, the text says, glue the 5 walls onto the cage bottom, matching the numbers on the walls to the numbers on the cage bottom. Yeah, because I didn't want to try and actually show you doing it, because it's going to be fiddly. So we're going to start with number 1. So we're going to glue number 1 in, if you can see, bring it up, we're going to take the base, we're going to take wall number 1, we're just going to glue that there. And then we're going to work our way around, putting them all in. And as I go, I'm going to try and put some on each edge to glue it to the one next to it, but I'm not sure how successful that's going to be. There's number 1. And of course, if you go clockwise, the next one's number 5, because why wouldn't it be? Okay, can you see? There we go, got 2 sides now in. I'm just going to keep doing that. Next one's number 4. Then number 3. And finally number 2. Goes without saying, make sure you get them the right way up, otherwise your slaves will be upside down in their cage. But there we go, that's all 5 of those done like that. Then we put the top on. So as you can see, I've got my 5 walls in like that. I'll just go around the edge of them on the top before we put the lid on the top. So yeah, I said it was fiddly. It's certainly not the fiddliest model I've ever put together. It's just a little bit more sort of precision required than most of the Shadows of Brimstone models. Okay, right, I'm just going to see if there's any particular orientation. Has it got a, it does, it has on the bottom, it has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 once again marked on the base so you can line it up properly. So in this case that is that way. There we go. There we go, so we've now got our slave cage. Just need to put the little top on the top of it. There we go, like that. Okay, this is why you need to be careful when you cut the arms out, because you've got to put little arms poking out of each of these bits now. As well as some chains as well, and they're the next bits to do. So I'm just going to get a good close look at this to make sure I get it right. So you're trying to find the one with the head poking out, arm to the left. Head poking out, arm to the left. That's the one that looks at the front of you as you look at the assembly instructions. And that has arm that is the part number 25. So that's 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, the middle one, this one. So that has this hand coming out of there. One thing to note I've immediately seen here is you can poke the arm pretty much all the way in. I'll show you, because there's little holes. You see underneath the chains, there's a little hole there. That's the arm that goes in. It will go in all the way to the hand if you push it in if you want to, because there's nothing sort of stopping it. So you've got to be very careful about how we place that and get it to glue. Just considering what's going to be the best way. Let's see if we can glue the edge. We'll glue the edge of the hole. Let's put the arm in. That far. Okay. On the corner, on the right hand corner of that, is the chains, which are number 21. These chains, they're slightly separated at the bottom chain, so they go into the box. Okay, so as you can hopefully see now, I've just done the arm at the bottom there that's coming out. Like that. These chains, the slightly separated chains, get glued into a little notch on the side that's next to the arm that basically go in there. Like that. So I'm just going to do those next. Apparently not, because I can't get any glue out. There we go, it's got some. Okay, there we go. So we've got some chains. Then the next arm around from those is arm number 23. And it goes again at the bottom, but this time it's next to a head. So 21, 22, 23, so it's that arm. I'm going to try, put that down for now. I'm going to try gluing the arm this time, see if that's any better. There we go. So I don't know if you can see, but I've got that little fella there. So those arms coming out next to his head, going in that direction. So that's that one. Working around from that one, form 23. The one up top is 24, because there's only one that's at the top of the hole. On the bottom of the it's 24, which is this one. So glue this one. I mean, the more I look at it, these arms are kind of interchangeable. So I guess if you did get it wrong, it's not that wrong. It's not the end of the world if you put the wrong hand in the wrong hole. So 24, and the next one round at the bottom, 27, which is that one. So I've apparently got some vestiges of clothing still on. That'll actually act as a bulwark to stop it going too far into the cage. Which means this one must be the last one. So it's 26, which is where the hand is. I mean, it is a hand. I mean, that's where the Oni's hand is. Okay. Right, and sorry, what I've had mixed up is this chain goes between the two I just did. So to the left, effectively, where the Oni's hands are, the long chain fits in there. Again, there's, so I'll show you where it goes. It's going there. Again, there's a little notch in there. There's a tab on the end of the chain. Okay, you can leave that all there to dry from it, but as you can see, we've now got this slave cage and we've got all these hands coming out of it from the various different holes and a couple of chains dangling down. And the last thing to do on this model is basically to glue this onto the hands and the shoulder. I mean, then glue it to the base, of course. I mean, I suppose that is the last thing. Right, so let's put this ready to go on here, and you can see there's a little notch on the hand. There's a little notch just next to my thumb. If you Let's see which is where that's going to go, so you can see which way around it goes, and that will line the sort of fingers of the hand up correctly. There we go. So if you got it correctly assembled, that sort of shoulder, it should just nicely sit on the shoulder and hands. Just wait for that to glue. There you go. There's your Oni with their sort of slave cage on their shoulder. And then that goes plonk onto the base, which we'll do now. Putting some glue on the base of the feet. Okay, like that. And it sits there freestanding, and it will just glue over the next few seconds. We managed to eke this this last sort of bottle of glue out just long enough. But there you go. There is your Oni Warlord. If I just gingerly pick it up whilst it's still setting. There you go. There's the Oni Warlord. So the second of our two Forbidden Fortress Wave 3 XXL enemies. So just put that to one side now. There we go. So that is now both of them constructed.